Hello, welcome to English 1301, week 2. Week 3. My bad. Uh, this week we are preparing to work on our autobiographical narrative. So that's what's going to be due at the end of this week. So let's take a look at what's going to. As promised, we're going to talk a little bit about MLA. We're going to take a look at the narrative one more time just to make sure that we have everything good. So, taking a look at that actual assignment, the narrative is no fewer than 750 words. You're writing an autobiographical narrative in which you focus on a situation you had to deal with. You want to try to keep it within a 24-hour period, meaning something that happened to you. You don't want to talk about something that happened to you like over a 6-month period or something like that. But something that happened to you, you want to have it be one specific day, the day, the most crucial day of a situation, or one specific moment in time. For example, if you went on a vacation to Europe and you want to talk about how exciting and wonderful that was, that's great. And you can kind of mention that maybe it was a 2-week trip or a 1-week trip or whatever, but you don't really want to focus on every single thing that you did during those 2 weeks. And you don't really want to focus on every single thing that you did within a 24-hour period. You just want to focus on one thing that stood out the most to you from that particular vacation, whatever that was. And that would be the one thing that happened within a 24-hour period. That's what I mean by that. So make sure that you are following the basic features of the autobiographical narrative and you're telling a good story. Your narrative is going to be evaluated on how well the story integrates those basic features, the color-coded chart that's in the module, how well you use effective strategies like tone and dialogue. Remember, if it's a happy story, you don't want to tell it in a sad way. If it's a sad story, you don't want to tell it in a happy way unless the ending is like super happy. Just, you want to make sure the vibe is the correct one. You want to make sure that you use clear, coherent, complete, and correct sentences. If you are using dialogue, that's okay if it's incomplete. This is a informal academic essay, so a little bit of leeway is given for that. And you want to make sure, most of all, that you are using MLA format, which is what we're going to be going over today. Also, correct punctuation and spelling, unless, of course, it's a stylistic choice for a particular character that you might be writing about. And don't forget about writing in dialogue and those conventions there. Also, make sure that you have a word count at the end of your paper. That's what I ask for. It's not so much for me because I can look up that word count whenever. It's for you so that you get a feeling for how much you're writing and what that looks like. All right, so that's the actual instructions. You're going to use the submission link here to submit your essay. So let's take a look at MLA, just to be sure. So if you go up to writing resources, I have a couple of things here. We've got the Success Center, which they can help you if you wish to have somebody preview your paper. They can help you online and in person. There's our flyer here if you want to take a look at it. And some other things. The word graveyard's probably going to be banned or not banned, but we'll use the word graveyard more for the next paper, so we'll take a look at that then. There's the MLA information, which we're going to take a look at. General writing help, all of these great things. There's a lot of stuff in here. General writing is about uh, developing theses. We're going to take a look at more at this in the next paper, and then your MLA information is what we really want to look at right now. So let's take a look at the basics to MLA. And this is literally just the things that you need. We're of course going to be using 8 by 11, so not that we'll be printing this one out. But you're going to set all your margins to 1 inch all the way around. Right, left, up and down. Should all be set to 1 inch. Now, hint, in Google Docs and in Word, these should already be preset to 1 inch and you shouldn't have to worry about it. So if for some reason you have futzed with the margins, it will change it. So make sure you change it back to 1 inch. Everything is going to be double spaced. The entire paper is double spaced from the heading all the way down to the end, double spaced. And you should use Times New Roman font, and it should be the size 12. And the reason for this is one of the acceptable fonts for MLA. I think the other one's Arial. However, I, as your professor, am requesting that you use Times New Roman because it's been proven that Times New Roman actually slows down reading and gives you your mind to catch up and comprehend what you've just read. So uh, I also think it looks better, and that's what my request is. And one of the things that you're going to learn in college is that doing what the professor requests you to do is probably the best play there, because otherwise you run the chance of having your paper ignored or major points taken off. So make sure you use Times New Roman 12 point. The first page has a heading, and it's not in the page header. I'll describe that to you in a second. And this is what the heading should be at the top of your page. It should be your name, my name, the class name, which would be English 1301 plus whatever the numbers are behind it, and then the date. And I prefer I prefer month, date, year. It's really up to you. Um, I don't like the European way of doing it. Let's see. So page numbers, this goes in the page header. It is your last name and the page number in the top right corner. For example, it would be my last name would be Smith and one. You're going to have a title, which is centered after the heading. So you're going to have your heading, then your title, then you're going to have your paper. You don't want to bold or underline it or make it bigger. It needs to be the exact same Times New Roman 12 point as the rest of your paper. This is an MLA convention, not my own. So again, no setting the title aside. The only thing that sets the title aside from the rest of the paper is the fact that it is centered. And you're going to capitalize important words, or big words. So words in your title that are not a or the are capitalized, although you could capitalize everything just to be sure. No, I mean, not all caps, but just the first letters of each word. Um, Next is you're going to indent 5 spaces whenever you start a new paragraph. That also works for when you are writing dialogue. You start a new paragraph each time the speaker changes within that. And we went over that last week for the last assignment, so be sure to refer back to last week's lecture or look for the how to write dialogue in Module 1. Um, Write in clear sentences. Make sure your ideas are your own words. Use past tense when you're writing about your narrative. And be sure to skip a space after periods. It just makes everything look a little bit neater and is a more visual cue that says your sentence is over. We're not really dealing with citations for this paper, so we'll talk about that for the next one. But those are just the basics of MLA. Now, here, included with this MLA information, is a couple of things. There's setting your paper up correctly in MLA. Some like these are some videos for doing that are more specific for your situation. For example, we have iPad version, Word, Word for PCs. We did have a Mac version, but um, it actually was so outdated we haven't actually changed it yet. So some of these may be a little outdated, but for the most part, it's still good information. There's also this video here about MLA page formatting, and we really don't need to worry about the in-text citations or the works cited for this particular paper. So keep that in mind. Finally, last but not least, and possibly the most important, is the MLA template, which I have provided for you. So this is a Word doc template, which you could open in Google Docs or in Word. I prefer Word, but it's really up to you. And this shows you your paper as it is in MLA. So what I was talking about, this is the page header. The page header is where your last name and the page number goes. This is the heading of your paper, and this only appears on the first page. It's your name, your last name, my name, our class number, and the date. Then the title goes right here, centered, and it's the only thing that's centered. And then you're going to start your paper here after you indent 5 spaces. Now for this paper, you're not going to worry about the works cited. But this is a basic template. All you have to do is type your information into each space. Now, if you don't know about Word, when you type into, and I'll bring this down and open it up for us so you can see. This is what it would look like in Word when you are looking at it. And you're going to have your last name here and the first name. And the way to get to that, and you're not going to be able to see this on your screen, I understand, is you're going to go up to uh, the page. It's under the layout, I believe. You're going to go up to the, actually, let me see. Actually, it might be under home. It's hard for me to find in different ones, but you're going to go up to the page uh, app, I guess, in here in Word, and it's going to allow you to insert that. Actually, if you double click in, there it is. It shows up right here. So if you double click into the heading, you will get a new menu that comes up, and you're going to choose page number. You want top of page, plain number 3. And that's what you would click and see how it changed it. And then you're just going to type your name and that page number. Now, if you look over here, you'll notice that it changes the page number based on what page it's on. That's why we use this app. And again, it's a little bit cut off because of the recording of this, but it is the page number. Add page numbers. Click on that drop down menu, and it will put page numbers wherever you want it. But for our purposes, we want it here. Now, one last thing you need to do before you're done is you need to make sure that you have this in the correct font. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's not, because Word is just like that. So if you were to create this on your own, make sure that you go in and find Times New Roman. You can usually just type it. There it is, Times New Roman 12 point. Make sure you highlight everything. And sometimes it will work, and obviously it's not going to here. Times New Roman 12 point. And go. And for whatever reason, it's not working. Probably because I'm recording. But you want to change this to Times New Roman. But if you just upload or just use this, it's already in Times New Roman, and you can just change it to whatever your last name is. And there you go. To get out of it, just double click out or go over here to where it says close header and footer, and it will close it and it'll bring you back down to this. Just make sure when you're entering this information that you're not, don't hit enter, because that'll add another space. And currently it is set up for double space. So everything from here on out will be double spaced. So there you go. This is the template that you can use for MLA, and you can use this throughout the entirety of the course. And you can find it right here. And I think that is pretty much everything for this week. As always, if you have any questions, be sure to email me about the paper and anything else that you might need. Stay warm and have a great week.